Mounce, BBG, chapter 14, sentence 7. First thing to notice is you do have that post-positive day that you got to always kind of keep in mind, because whenever you have that as a post-positive, you got to pull it forward to the beginning of the sentence in order to have it all work right. So he gives you that first participle as speaking the truth, but you got to again pull the day forward and say either but or and. I'm kind of partial to and most of the time, and that's fine either way. And speaking the truth. Now, this is hopefully easy. And agape, you notice, has got that iota subscript, which might make you think dative, but in this case, you're not going to use a keyword, and the reason is because, again, you have a preposition, and anytime it's the object of the preposition, the reason that it's in a particular case is to govern the meaning of the preposition. So what that does for us here is that you have in love. So speaking the truth in love, and again, that's how we do that. Then let us grow. He gives you that. And ace auton should be easy enough. Again, you look at auton and you go, okay, I see that new. The new should tell me it's accusative. Generally speaking, when I see a new, I ought to think accusative, and you'd be right in this case. Ace takes the accusative, just means in, so let us grow in him. And then you have your relative clause, and this is the tricky part. So just jumping back for a second, main clause is speaking the truth in love, let us grow into him or in him. And then you have your relative clause, who is, hey, kephale, which hopefully you know kephale is head, who is the head, Christ. Okay, so with the has, you know that it's nominative, singular, masculine, right? You can spot that by now, hopefully. So again, what you're going to look for is you're going to say, all right, if I know that number and gender, you go left for number and gender and right for case. So left for number and gender to the antecedent. Near antecedent, of course, in this case is auton, which would be masculine singular, and that's what we find with auton, is that it's a masculine singular in this case. So that lines up so that it's him. And then, of course, it's also nominative, and so for case you look right in to look for what it replaces within the relative clause. And if this is the relative clause and we know it's nominative, replacing the subject, then it would be like, he is the head Christ, if we were to make it another sentence. So it's replacing the subject, which would be he in this case, who's referring back to auton, and there's if you were going to replace it here, it would be he. So that tells you what or I should say why the relative pronoun is in the form it's in. For all case, number, and gender, and that works. The only other question you got here, the sentence makes sense, it all fits together. Only other thing that's going on here is you have the head Christ, and of course Christ is fixed in form, so it's not going to change here. Otherwise, this would probably be feminine singular to line up with hey kephale. All right. And what this is that this noun is in apposition to this noun. So normally they're going to line up case, number, and gender. But of course, like I said, Christos is a fixed form. It's a name. So it's not going to do it in this particular case. But if I were to say, what is the relationship of Christos to kephale, you would say it's in apposition to kephale. In other words, it refers back to kephale. And just to just say one more time, with apposition, what you're talking about is a chain of nouns where, generally speaking, everything's going to be the same case, number, gender. And that chain of nouns will have a head noun, and then everything else in the chain further describes and refers back to the head noun. The head noun in this case is head, and Christ refers back to that noun and describes what head it is that we're talking about. All right? So, speaking the truth in love, let us grow into him who is the head, Christ.